Crime scene tape and evidence markers mark the spot of a horrific shooting. The date, September 19th. The location, Ridgewood Street in Waterbury. This man, 27-year-old Marquis Nunn, accused of pulling the trigger more than 13 times, shooting an innocent woman in the chest.
We had a bystander, a young woman that was visiting a friend in the neighborhood, just minding her own business, going about her way, trying to get home, that it's now a victim of a very serious crime.
Waterbury Police Chief Fred Spagnolo says the intended target of the shooting escaped unharmed. Nunn escaped too, and tonight remains on the run. But some say the shooting should have never happened in the first place. That's because the I-Team uncovered the day Nunn allegedly fired off those rounds was the day he was originally set to be released from prison after being sentenced to 5 years for a 2013 armed robbery. Instead, he was discharged in March, 182 days early.
It's a difficult situation. I think that releasing people like Marquis Nunn puts the public at harm. It puts our officers here in Waterbury at harm. It creates a very volatile situation here in the city and I think throughout the state.
So why did Nunn get out of prison early? It's all because of the Risk Reduction Earned Credit Program passed by the legislature in 2011 and signed into law by Governor Dannel Malloy. It enables prisoners to earn up to 5 days off their sentences a month for good behavior. Inmates convicted of 6 crimes are exempt from the program: murder, felony murder, arson murder, capital felony, home invasion, and first-degree aggravated sexual assault. In 2015, the legislature added persistent dangerous felony offenders and persistent dangerous sexual offenders to the list. Nunn's crime of first-degree robbery is not on the list.
So what do you make of the fact that if Nunn hadn't been released early, this shooting might have never happened?
I think it's a tragedy, and if it could have been avoided at any cost, I think it's very important to look into that.
Chief Spagnolo says the program has taken a toll on his officers.
So many of the people that you work hard to put away end up being eligible for early release. How frustrating is that to the department as a whole?
It is a morale issue when people continuously get released on an early release program or released on a very significantly reduced bond.
State Senator Len Suzio has been an outspoken critic of the early release program. He says Nunn is just one example that the law is not working.
What I always say, Aaron, is every single one of these incidents where a violent crime is being committed is proof that the program did not rehabilitate the prisoner.
For years, Suzio has been on a crusade to make all violent offenders ineligible to receive credits.
It's time to end this program. It's playing fast and loose with the lives and the safety of innocent men, women, and children.
Spagnolo says no matter what happens with the early release program, his department is dedicated to their community and will continue to work hard to put criminals like Nunn away, regardless of how long they stay behind bars.
Especially in violent crimes, they take it personal. They work their noses to the grindstone. We make great cases, we make great arrests.
Brian Clark of Middletown says he served as a volunteer firefighter in New York City during the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, a day that changed his life forever.
It was just something that we as a society just never dealt with before, and I didn't know how to deal with it.
Shortly after, Clark got his truck driver's license, but after breaking his ankle on the job, drugs became his escape.
And I noticed the Vicodin, it stuffed down a lot more emotional pain than it did physical pain, and it just took off from there.
He turned into a full-blown drug addict, overdosed twice, even attempted suicide twice. Needing money to buy drugs, in 2011, Clark planned a robbery at a former coffee house in Middletown, but a friend told police and they were waiting for him.
It just seemed like I was grateful to get caught. It's like finally this nightmare was over.
Clark, a former police explorer, EMT, and firefighter, was now known as Inmate 002-89690. He was convicted of robbery and given 27 months to serve. But he decided this was the moment he would turn to God and turn his life around.
Through my time at Hartford Correctional, I went out of my way to get any help possible, because if you as an inmate are content to sit on your bunk and eat commissary all day, DOC will let you do that.
Clark says he ended up being released about 45 days early thanks to the Risk Reduction Earned Credit Program. Signed into law in 2011, it allows most offenders, even some violent ones, to earn up to 5 days a month off of their sentence for good behavior. Despite the fact he benefited from the program, Clark says it's simply not working.
You already have guys who will have their timesheet out and says, oh, as long as I don't screw up in this state or this state or this state, I'll be getting out on this state. They're already pre-planning when they're getting out.
And Clark is certainly not the only person who has been critical of the RREC program. State Senator Len Suzio has also been outspoken, questioning its effectiveness for years.
The ironic thing about the program is many of the criminals are going back to their life of crime, and they're committing more horrific crimes.
In fact, Suzio says in the first so-called graduating class of the program, the recidivism rate was nearly 96%. Right now, only those convicted of 8 crimes are ineligible to participate in the program. Suzio wants to add to that list.
It's not working, it's dangerous, and men, women, and children are paying for it with their own lives and their own safety.
As for Clark, who has been clean since 2011, he's now looking to use his life outside of jail to help other inmates change their lives for the better. He's also advocating for state leaders to take a comprehensive look at our correction system and make changes to correct people, not just house them.
The DOC is not reforming anybody, and I have no problem attaching my name to that statement.